Guys, thank you for joining us. This is our Monday training talk, and I just wanted to share something with you when it comes to inspiration and doing great things for tech people and for advertising people. Because basically, we're always looking for inspiration. Pretty much anyone is looking for inspiration every day, and we go and watch tech talks and read all these authors and watch Steve Jobs' old speech at Stanford 2006 and all those things, like trying to look for inspiration. But I just want to tell you why those are actually the worst ways to get inspired, based on a very own personal experience at the agency and Smart People. So basically, we're constantly doing for what we're doing to find inspiration is going to all these blogs and follow all these people, which they're big and they're amazing and they're super smart, like I said before. And let's try to keep doing that. But my first invitation is to try to change the mindset to learn rather than get inspired. And I want to give you 10 reasons why. Obviously, 10 is a good number. Why we shouldn't try to find inspiration on those guys. The first thing is that when we watch all these talks and conferences all over the world, and we write down all those concepts, when we try to actually apply them to the real world, they just don't work. I don't know if you have noticed that. So we read all these tips on how 10 things successful people always do and 10 things innovators do and habits and all that crap. But then when we come home to try to do it ourselves, it just doesn't work. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. But it's not quite your fault. I think that, or our fault, because there's a lot of access to information, and then when we get like bombarded by all these people talking about big concepts and things, we try to get the best out of it. So again, let's try to keep learning. So my first concept here is basically the truth about inspiration is that there's not such thing, and this is my very own perspective. I think there's knowledge, lots of it, but true inspiration can only come from yourself. I think the only person that you should be trying to get inspiration from is yourself, and then learn from others. And then I wrote this 10 reasons why you shouldn't trust these guys, or the tech and advertising gurus. The first one is that, and I can include myself not as a guru, but like as a speaker and all that, when we give like short, super huge statements. So we always try to give like big statements, inspirational, genius, huge, and they're basically meaningless sentences that you cannot do anything with. You try to take all those, stay hungry, stay foolish, and Job says that, and then you try to take it to work, and then like when you're watching the video, you love it and you want to do something huge with it. When you come to the office, try to do something with it. It doesn't mean anything. So when they talk, you realize that they're sharing short genius formulas, and once you leave the room or go to execute them in your plan, they're just useless and you don't know how to apply them. Or even worse, you'll quickly forget them. So that's the first thing we always try to do, like share like short, beautiful, inspirational things that when you try to apply them, they don't work, and then you try to find out why, and you won't see why, basically. The second one is that you always try to emulate them by living in constant failure, by ignoring that what they've accomplished is the consequence, not the path to it. So when we're trying to get inspiration from all these guys, and we listen to them talking and big events or whatever, or blogs, we're trying to emulate them, and we're trying to do pretty much the same they're doing these days. But then we're pretty much ignoring. I'm talking about designers and big creative minds and big agencies and entrepreneurs and business people. But we're basically ignoring that we're trying to emulate the consequence of a big path. They're not sharing the path, they're sharing the consequence. That's why they're there. So the second message is let's not try to emulate anyone. And this is for anyone. I mean, like any professional. Soccer player, you don't want to be Ronaldo. You have to go to the path. Business people, tech people, there's a long path. And trying to emulate successful people is just going to give you failure, because the success is just a consequence. The third one is pretty much that their motivations were way different than yours. Perhaps you already have one on your own. And this is like really important. If you read about the story of Larry Page or Zuckerberg or whoever, they had like really particular, specific motivations. Even big creatives in the world, they have very, very specific motivations. And then don't try to get rich by changing the world. It works the other way around. You change the world and you get rich, not the other way around. These guys are always trying to prove a point or solve a basic problem by getting obsessed with ideas, and that's a concept that I really like. Find a basic problem, obsessed with an ideal that then you transform into an idea, and then you solve the problem, and then money and recognition will come, but not the other way around. And the Facebook is the greatest example of that, I guess. Number 4, you start at the end thinking about the outcome. So find, again, a basic problem and let that be your motivation. I think the best motivation for a young creative business person or creative advertiser or project manager or whatever you guys are doing, digital strategies, is to find one basic simple problem and get obsessed with it to solve it. How do we do things differently? How do we do things more productive? How do we get people to connect better? How do we get people to optimize better? And whatever your motivation is, but find one motivation that becomes a purpose. And number 5 is that they only disclose and share their current success and the vision of the future. If you watch all these TED Talks and big conferences, they're just talking about what they're doing right now and their whole big vision of the future to come. And then you're trying to take that as an inspiration, and that pretty much doesn't work like that, So you take that and, again, ignoring the whole path to it. Their vision of the future is the consequence of the path in the past. So consider that. And I think this is really, really important, because what I would love to see from each of you and my students and the people I know is that if we get to talk again in 5 years or 3 or whatever, we cross paths in the street, I would love you guys to tell me that you're here instead of where we met. For example, Elsie is leaving, and all the interns are going to be leaving at a point, and I would like to talk to you guys later, and then you tell me that you're here. But I think this is the right way to do it. If you listen to Larry Page, Dorsey, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Evan Spiegel, Snapchat, all those guys, just realize that they have one thing in common, that they don't really have anything in common. So we're trying to find formulas for how do these guys think, behave, what do they do in the morning, how do they live their lives, and then if you realize there is one big coincidence that they don't have anything in common, just very different people, very different motivations, just very different stories, lots of coincidences, lots of luck. I think that the great act of innovation and the great act of changing the world comes with a big amount of luck. You have to be lucky as well. It's not just about being a genius or whatever. So I think that's really, really important. And they don't have a formula to success, for sure. What they can share is a formula to failure, because they fail more than they succeed. And if you hear these guys talking, and if you talk to them person to person, you will see that they've accomplished more failure than success at the end of the day. So they can share that. If you ask me, I can share with you the formula to failure. To me, what I think that makes people successful or failure, and that'll be my own perspective, and you have your own. But we don't have a formula to success, and whoever says he has it, I think is just too arrogant and it just doesn't exist. Everyone will be succeeding these days, and I'm far from have it. They don't have it either, But we fail more than we succeed, I guess. These guys never care about failure, and you do, and we all do. We're very concerned about failing, and that's basically the most primitive way to fail. These guys, if you talk to them, if you hear their stories and all that, big creative directors, designers, innovators, and all that, they were never afraid of failure. And I love this documentary that Michelle recommended me like a year ago, The Man Who Built America. And if you see these guys' stories and their motivations, ego, passion, women, never like I want to just, and then when they found the idea, they just got big as a consequence. But they were never afraid of failing. They were just obsessed with success, pretty much. So these guys never care about failure, and since we do, we're always gonna be failing, pretty much. That's the most primitive way to fail, is just to be afraid of it. Number 8, looking for constant inspiration will just put unnecessary pressure on you and your shoulders. You see all these guys, all these successful companies, successful technology companies, successful people, and when you try to get inspiration by them, the only thing you're getting on your shoulders is pressure that you don't need. So I think that, again, you can learn a lot from these guys, and whoever is standing in front of you in events or TED Talks and whatever, they know a lot of great stuff. But I think that trying to find inspiration in them is just wrong, because this is a big reason. It'll put pressure on you, and I can speak for myself. Like, they just give you pressure that you don't need. So write your own path, firm and strong. Let others do their thing, and perhaps one day you'll be sharing your own story to inspire others. So I think that we'll have to write our own path by getting together things that you learn, and then finding the problem. So getting obsessed with an ideal, then become an idea, and then the solution, and then if it's good enough, you'll get big. But don't put unnecessary pressure on your own shoulders. I think that looking at other agencies, other tech companies, other people that are bigger than you, is just putting unnecessary and taking your attention away from what you should be thinking about. Number 9 is basically, they're totally misleading you, because these guys are always talking about technology and communications and all this crap that is just away from us, and they're misleading you because the only focus they have is actually paying attention to people's behavior and try to get in between that behavior with a basic solution, Again, and this comes from a lot of insights from events that I've been presenting or that I've been watching other conferences, and we're totally misleading, even myself when I speak. I think that, what all of us should be doing is just paying attention to people's behavior, how we do communicate, how do we talk to each other, how do we, talk to our kids, girlfriends, whatever, and try to find a solution in between for that, and not thinking communication and technology and all that. Those are the drivers and the means to it, but not the purpose. So, yeah, bring a new way to it. And number 10, just have no style. That's the most important one. Well, guys, seriously, I just wanted to share with you. Find a purpose, wake your ass off, and share your story. I'm sorry for giving you a number 1, the big statement with an inspirational shit that it's just worthless. But to me, in a very short phrase, what I would like to Elsie to take away from this, when you leave as well, and I don't know, Lorena, whoever is around, and if you're all welcome to stay. But if you ever go away, or whoever, try to find knowledge. Inspiration can only come from yourself. And then, again, problem, idea that becomes an idea, then solution. If it's good enough, it will reach out everyone. If it doesn't, if it's not good enough, then you just find another one. That's it. Any questions? No?
Thank you.